from her personal story about her having been a survivor of gender-based violence. And so one of the things that we do with ambassadors is we want them to tell authentic stories about our issues in the public, and to the extent that they have any personal direct experiences, for that to be part of their story for the public.
So the ACLU was not forcing her to relate her own experience with GBV. It was leaving it up to Ms. Heard's discretion, correct?
Correct.
And Exhibit 31 was prepared in the ordinary course of the ACLU's business, correct?
Correct.
And it was maintained in the ordinary course of the ACLU's business, correct?
Correct.
Let's move to Exhibit 33, please. Mr. Dougherty, asking you to please look at Exhibit 33 and ask whether you've ever seen this before.
I have.
See the email from Robin Schulman to Jessica Weitz dated November 14th at 10:58 a.m.?
Yes.
Who is Jessica Schulman?
Robin Schulman is a person in the communications department who is no longer with us, but who had expertise in issues involving gender issues.
Well, you anticipated my next question. Is Robin Schulman still at the ACLU?
No.
And is she an attorney?
I don't know whether she's an attorney. A number of our communications department staff members are, but I don't know. She wasn't working as an attorney.
Ms. Schulman is asking Ms. Weitz, what's the status of this situation? What situation was she referring to?
The situation is whether we are going to be doing an op-ed with Amber.
Okay, and moving up on the page, there's an email from Jerry Johnson who says, quote, Jess had drinks with Amber last night, and it sounds like she was able to confirm with her that we'll be doing the first draft. Mm-hmm. What does that mean?
It is often a decision has to be made when we're working with ambassadors or with other people who are speaking to the public, who does the first draft of the document. So it sounds here that Jerry is saying that that from Jess's conversation with Amber, we are moving forward with some kind of an op-ed, and that ACLU communications department staff members would be writing the first draft of it.
And Jess refers to Jessica Weitz?
Yes.
Okay, let's please turn to Exhibit 35, please. Have you ever seen this document before, Mr. Dougherty?
And yes, I have seen this document. Thanks, Michael. I didn't.
And what is it?
This is a series of communications about the. It's the result of a series of communications about the op-ed that Amber, under Amber's name, took place with a media outlet. And so this is Jessica Weitz sending a draft of that to Amber.
Great. And let's go to the first email first, the email that starts in the second half of ACLU 185. It purports to be from Robin Schulman to Jessica Weitz on November 29. Do you see that?
I do.
And is she attaching the first draft of the op-ed to that email?
So I assumed that it was not an attachment, but it was just pasted into an email, but I can't tell from this. I don't see anybody saying attached. So it could be either, but what I see this as is Robin sending a note to Jess Weitz for Jess Weitz to then forward to Amber.
Understood. Robin says, I tried to gather your fire and rage and really interesting analysis and shape that into an op-ed form. What does that refer to?
That refers to the effort for our ACLU ambassadors to speak publicly in a way that is impactful, that is shows the importance of the issues and how important they are personally to individuals. And in this case, therefore, Amber's passion for working on gender-based violence issues and speaking about it, and that she has an analysis that is one that Robin finds interesting.
And so when she's referring to fire and rage, that's Ms. Heard's fire and rage, correct?
Yeah, that's my read of this, even though I recognize that it is confusing because it's an email from Robin to Jess.
And the rage would be directed against Johnny Depp, who purportedly abused her, correct?
I didn't take it to mean that. I took it to mean fire and rage about gender-based violence issues.
Was it your understanding that it was Robin Schulman who prepared the first draft of the op-ed?
Yes.
Okay. And Robin says to Jessica, your lawyers should review this for the way I skirted around talking about your marriage. Whose lawyers is she referring to there?
I believe these are Amber's regular advisors or who were involved in the review negotiation of the NDA between Amber and Johnny Depp.
And then if you look at, direct your attention to the top email from Jessica White's to Amber Heard, she says to Amber, apologies for the delay, but we have needed to pass this through quite a few lawyers. What lawyers did Jessica White's pass the op-ed through?
These were lawyers in the Women's Rights Project of the ACLU, plus the director of the Center for Liberty, the deputy legal director of the ACLU who runs the Center for Liberty, within which is the Women's Rights Project, and even the legal director of the ACLU who runs the whole legal department, our programmatic litigation work on behalf of civil liberties, David Cole.
But it never got to your level, correct?
Well, David Cole is at my level, just to be clear. He also reports to the executive director, but it never got to me or anybody on my team.
No one asked you to review the first draft of the op-ed?
No.
Did anybody ever ask you to review any drafts of the op-ed, including the final draft that was published in the Washington Post?
No.
She says, I want to make sure nothing was said in here that puts you in jeopardy with your NDA. What does that refer to?
The non-disclosure agreement that was entered into between Depp and Heard in connection with the dissolution of their marriage and the settlement agreement.
Okay, and is this a document that was prepared in the ordinary course of the ACLU's business?
Yes.
Was it kept in the ordinary course of the ACLU's business?
Yes.
All right, let's move please to Exhibit 37. Have you ever seen Exhibit 37 before?
Yes.
What is it?
This is a draft of the op-ed that Robin is sending to Amber after a conversation that they had to discuss the issues in the op-ed, and in particular, to have a conversation about the op-ed. And then she sends her changes that were made to the op-ed that were relating to things that Robin and Amber discussed during that meeting.
And to be clear, this next draft of the op-ed reflects changes that Robin Schulman made after she met in person with Amber Heard. Is that correct?
Correct.
What did Ms. Schulman and Ms. Hurd discuss during their in-person meeting?
My understanding is that they discussed some of the personal experiences that Amber Heard has had that that Robin used to incorporate into the op-ed.
And isn't it true that Ms. Heard's advisors initially revised the draft to remove any reference to Ms. Heard's marriage or divorce?
I recall a number of email communications back and forth among ACLU personnel and Ms. Heard's attorneys where they were suggesting edits to the op-ed relating to matters covered in the NDA.
And then isn't it also true that there were some at the ACLU who expressed their belief that excising those references to her marriage and divorce from Johnny Depp made the op-ed less impactful, correct?
It is correct. That is correct.
But ultimately, based on those voices, Ms. Heard pushed to get that excised material back into the op-ed so it could be more impactful. True?
That's not my understanding. My understanding is that the language that wound up in the final op-ed piece was very different from the original language that Robin included in the op-ed after having spoken with Amber about her personal experiences.
And how was it different?
It did not refer directly to Ms. Heard's relationship with Johnny Depp.
Okay, let's move ahead, please, to Exhibit 38.
Yes, sir. Stand by.
Mr. Dougherty, have you ever seen this document before?
Yes.
And is this one of the documents you reviewed in preparation for your deposition?
Yes.
What does this relate to?
So this relates to Stacy Sullivan, who reported to Terry Tang, and her role with respect to this op-ed piece was to think about the best place to place it and to make the contacts with the media in order to get it placed.
And she suggests here that the outlets that the ACLU and Ms. Heard was considering were the New York Times, the Washington Post, Team Vogue, and USA Today. Is that correct?
So not Stacy, but Jerry, who I think you said she, Jerry is a he, and Jerry wrote some suggested places to place this after having had conversations with Amber.
And Jerry's suggestions were the New York Times, Washington Post, Team Vogue, or USA Today. Is that correct?
Correct.
Whose responsibility was to place the op-ed? Was it the ACLU's, Ms. Heard's, or some combination of the two?
The work to place the op-ed was taken on by the ACLU in that we have in our communications department people with expertise and who regularly do just that kind of work. But as we can see from this email, it was done in consultation with Amber Heard.
And Mr. Johnson writes, since the draft turned out pretty strong and Aquaman slated to do large numbers, I'm wondering what you think about it. What does she mean by saying the draft turned out pretty strong?
This appears to be the analysis of how broad-based and how what kind of reach the media outlets where we can place this will have, and that media outlets are more likely to take on publishing an op-ed like this if it is a strong one, and if it is, and to the extent that it is written by a person who's an entertainer or a well-known person, that the more they are in the public eye at the time, the more likely it will be accepted by a more prominent or broader reach media outlet. And so that's the sort of descending media outlets are in descending terms in terms of descending, likelihood of, descending importance and reach, but greater likelihood from, for example, as we go down that list.
And Amber's referencing her own direct personal experience, and her marriage to Johnny Depp makes it a stronger product, correct?
I think that the Amber's contributions to the portion of the op-ed that talks about personal experiences is part of what informed the view that this was a strong op-ed, and the importance of the women's rights issues referred to in the op-ed, in that some of them were very timely women's rights issues before Congress. And Ms. Heard had a co-starring role in Aquaman, correct? I don't know whether she was a co-star, but I know that that was a film that she was in. And didn't she tell the ACLU that she wanted the op-ed to come out just after Aquaman was released? I do recall that there was a conversation about the optimal timing for the op-ed piece. And as part of that conversation, Ms. Heard said in words or substance that she wanted the op-ed to come out soon after Aquaman, correct? I believe that's correct. Who did she relate that to? I don't recall, although I believe that there is documents that we produced that can shed some light on that. Is Exhibit 38 kept in the ordinary course of the ACLU's business? Yes. Was it prepared by people with knowledge and prepared in a contemporaneous manner? Yes, it was. And it was made in the ordinary course of the ACLU's business, true? True. Okay, if we could move ahead, please, to Exhibit 41. This is another one of these, it's not that long.
Yes, sir, stand by.
Mr. Dougherty, have you ever seen this document before?
Yes.
What is it?
These are further communications among employees, staff members in the development department regarding the placement of Amber's ad and the finalization of the op-ed piece. Not ad, I'm sorry, op-ed and the finalization of it.
Great, and if we could move ahead, please, to ACLU 257, and specifically the email from Robin Schulman to Jessica Weitz on December 11th, continuing on to the next, or strike that. Let's go to the email on the last line, Jessica Weitz's email. She says,
what's the timestamp? What's the timestamp on the email that you're referring to?
I'm sorry. This is December 11th email at 11:05 a.m.
Okay.
From Jessica Weitz. You see that? Okay. And she says, Amber sent back the op-ed with final edits from her legal team, which specifically neutered much of the copy regarding her marriage and the domestic violence. Do you see that?
I do.
Is that consistent with your recollection?
I'm not sure about the use of the term neutered here, but I do know that her lawyers removed references to her marriage and divorce.
And then she writes, the goal is to get this out this week to capitalize on the tremendous campaign for Aquaman. What does that mean?
That means, from the ACLU's perspective, that Amber is about to receive an incredible amount of press and be in the public eye. So what better a time would it be than now to put out this op-ed so that it generates significant readership about our issues?
And Amber agreed with the ACLU on that point, correct?
I believe the answer is yes. Every step of the way we were making these decisions with Amber's PR representatives involved.
Okay, let's move back to an email in the middle of 257.
Okay.
And it is from Jessica Weitz, timestamped 11:09 a.m. on December 11th, 2018.
Okay.
Robin, her lawyers omitted the below, but Amber would love to see a way to have that part in bold somehow put back in. Is there an artful way to do that? Otherwise, she is okay with the final. 2 years ago, I sought a temporary restraining order from my then husband. Ellipses was changed to 2 years ago after successfully acquiring a temporary restraining order, but still not cleared by her lawyers. Do you see that?
I do.
Is that consistent with your understanding about what Ms. Heard's desires were?
Yeah, I trust Jessica White's relationship with Amber so that when Jessica told Robin that was something Amber wanted, I have no reason to think that that's not correct.
Okay, and finally, let's look at the beginning. The first email, Exhibit 41, from Stacy Sullivan to Jessica Weitz. Says, yes, and I need to read the latest version. And Robin told me Amber's lawyers took out some of the stuff that made it really powerful. So let me look to see if I think it's strong enough for top tier. What did she mean by top tier?
I think from Stacy's perspective, the more powerful a document is, the more likely it will go into a top tier news outlet such as the New York Times or the Washington Post, you know, that sort of descending tiering that was in Jerry Johnson's email.
Okay. And is Exhibit 41 kept in the ordinary course of the ACLU's business?
Yes.
Was it prepared in the ordinary course of the ACLU's business by people having knowledge and done so contemporaneously?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Let's move ahead to 43.
Yes, sir. Stand by.
Okay. Directing your attention to the first page in Exhibit 43 from Jessica Weitz to Sean Waltz. Who is Sean Walsh?
Sean Walsh at www.rconsulting.com. I don't know who that is. This is an email that includes in it people other than ACLU employees and ACLU consultants. So I'm assuming it's somebody relating to, one of Amber's representatives, but I don't know for sure.
Do you know who Eric George is?
George, BGR firm. Yes, Eric George was one of Amber's attorneys.
And she's announcing to the group that it's going to the Washington Post, a triple exclamation points.
Correct.
Take it the ACLU was pleased that it was placed in the Washington Post.
Correct.
And I believe you testified earlier, but I just want to confirm for the record, the ACLU took on the responsibility of attempting to place the op-ed, correct?
Correct.
And why the ACLU instead of Amber or her PR team?
Placing op-eds about matters such as this is the kind of thing that is the bread and butter for the ACLU. And so I don't recall if a conversation happened about whether her PR people or our PR people should be in the ones that do the work to place this, but it is fully consistent with how we do our work that we placed this one.
All right, let's go back to Exhibit 42, if you don't mind.
Yes, sir. Stand by.
Have you ever seen this document before, Mr. Dougherty?
I am familiar with this document.
Is this one of the documents you reviewed in preparation for this deposition today?
Yes.
Was it made in the ordinary course of ACLU's business by people having knowledge and doing so contemporaneously?
Correct, yes.
Was it maintained by the ACLU in the ordinary course of business?
Yes.
Would you please direct your attention, sir, to Bates number 1181. In the middle of the page purports to be an email from Stacey Sullivan, Michael Larrabee, and others at the Washington, well, I'll just say Michael Larrabee. Who is Michael Larrabee?
Michael Larrabee appears to be a person who was a contact that Stacey Sullivan had at the Washington Post. And so she reached out to him first about placing the ad. And then because she received a bounce back out of office from Mike Larrabee, she sent her original request to Michael Duffy and Mark Laswell, also at Washington Post.
And what was the purpose of her sending them this email?
This was her attempt to get the op-ed placed.
And she writes, "Hey, Michael, wondering if we might interest you in a piece by Amber Heard, who, as you may recall, was beaten up during her brief marriage to Johnny Depp, on what the incoming Congress can do to help protect women in similar situations." Did I read that correctly?
Yes, you read it correctly.
All right, let's look, please. Let's turn to Exhibit 73.
Yes, sir. Stand by.
Dougherty, have you ever seen this document before?
Yes.
Is this the online copy of the op-ed that the ACLU placed?
Yes.
Directing your attention to the title, Amber Heard, I spoke up against sexual violence and faced our culture's wrath. That has to change. Who came up with that title?
Based on my investigation, I'm not aware of I'm not aware that the ACLU had any role in writing the name of the op-ed piece. And my understanding of how op-ed pieces work is that it is the media, in this case, the Washington Post, would have drafted the name of the title of the op-ed and not the person who wrote the op-ed.
Did the Washington Post seek the ACLU's or Ms. Heard's approval of its title?
I believe the answer to that is no. There's nothing in the evidence that shows that they reached out to us to do that, and it is inconsistent with my understanding in that these news outlets do not usually ask for the permission of the author of the op-ed for when they come up with the title.
Hello, Mr. Dougherty. Would you please, or would the technician please call up Exhibit 45?
Yes, sir. Stand by.
Mr. Dougherty, have you ever seen Plaintiff's Exhibit 45, which is Bates number ACLU 623?
Hold on, I'm just making it a little bigger. Okay, yes, I have seen this document.
And is this one of the documents you reviewed in preparation for your deposition?
That's correct.
And what is it?
This is an article that was in US Today and specifically ties Amber's statements in her op-ed piece to Johnny Depp.
And when Jessica White says so much for not mentioning JD, what did she mean?
I speculate that she was saying that there were significant efforts made by Amber's attorneys to take out the references to Johnny Depp and her marriage, and yet nonetheless